Now, according to Nepal Police sources, 3,726 people have been killed so far. General Gaurav Shamsher Rana, the chief of the Nepal Army, has said that at this point of time, the Nepal Army is engaged in rescue and relief operations across the country, and there is aid that's coming in from multiple countries, and that's coming in very handy. Last night, of course, operations came to a standstill for some time because of massive aftershocks. In fact, the Nepal airport, the Kathmandu airport, had to be shut down for about 2 hours around 11:30 last night. That is because of aftershocks. The Tribhuvan International Airport had to be shut down. ATC personnel were evacuated. There were 2 major aftershocks, and there have been in all close to 50 aftershocks after that earthquake of 7.9 on the Richter scale. There's still no electricity and water supply in some parts. There's fear of an epidemic in Nepal. Headlines today is Atir Khan now joins me live from Kathmandu. Atir, has relief operations, have they been able to pick up? Tell us the latest.
Well, that's right. The relief operations are being carried out on a war footing, and India has been the biggest contributor as far as the teams are concerned. India has sent the largest number of teams, and that has been reported by the local media as well. Well, as of now, the situation is far from being normal. There are a number of foreigners who are still stranded, Gaurav. They are at the airport, and some of them don't even want to stay in the hotel overnight. They are already making a beeline to the airport because they have a flight next day. Other than that, we see the shops are still closed because people are up all night, and since they cannot go to work, it is extremely difficult. Markets are almost closed. Very few shops are open, while the administration is struggling to bring back normalcy. There is a problem with the hospitals also as far as medicines are concerned, though doctors are being brought in, but still there are a number of problems, Gaurav, here.
Now, take us through what is immediately required in Kathmandu, in Nepal, that should be rushed in immediately.
Well, Gaurav, we've been seeing a number of sorties are being carried out through the day, and even through the night. We saw that there were sorties which were taking place, and Rahul had just a little while ago, one of our colleagues had gone for a sortie, and he took extensive aerial view of what was happening. But at the moment, medicines is a big problem, water, and also electricity has to be restored completely. Major problem being medicine, shortage of medicines, and also people are stressed out, and they need to go back to work, but that is not happening until the tremor stop. Today also in the afternoon there were reports that there could be another tremor, so people are gathering at the assembly area whenever there is a prediction of an aftershock or a tremor. Gaurav?
Now, what we were being told is that Power Minister Piyush Goyal, he'd offered to send in a lot of material to restore power lines in Kathmandu. Is that happening on ground? Has electricity been restored? Has fresh food, fresh vegetables, have they been shipped in, flown in?
Well, yes, the situation has improved quite a bit, and the flights have started taking. Flights are operating. Some material is also available in the market. As far as electricity is concerned, it is better from what it was yesterday and day before yesterday. So things are improving, but then it will be a while before normalcy returns to Kathmandu and other surrounding areas.
Atir, tell us more. What is required? Is everything just in Kathmandu? All the material that was being sent from India and from other parts of the world, is it all now in Kathmandu, or has efforts been made to take it to other parts that are affected? I mean, whether it's Pokhara, whether it's Lamjung, the epicenter of the earthquake, is material being distributed?
Well, yes, efforts are being made. And these efforts are continuously being made by the administration here. India has, of course, given a big chunk of relief, but then there is relief coming in from other countries as well. So, relief material is being sent to far off places, but all of them have not been able to get it. But there were a number of sorties today in which relief material was sent, and those who need immediate medication were extracted and brought to the hospital here. And the hospital still remains a problem because there's shortage of medicines. There's not adequate doctors, so most of the doctors are working overtime, but then it's a big challenge to sort of see that people are medically fit.
Headlines today is Rahul Kanwal has been travelling extensively across Nepal. He was on board one of these Mi-17 helicopters. Rahul Kanwal now joins us live. He's with Atir Khan. Atir, Rahul has been reporting from some of the areas which haven't been accessed so far. What's the situation in some of these quake-affected areas away from Kathmandu?
Rahul, give us a sense of the sortie you have taken and far-flung areas which have not been reached so far, and today was the day when you managed to get there. Give us a sense of what you saw.
Gaurav, we've just come back from some of the remotest districts of Nepal which have been ravaged by the earthquake, and what I saw numbed me. Village after village completely razed to the ground. The extent of devastation that we see here in Kathmandu doesn't even begin to compare with what the villages of Nepal have had to suffer. Because of the construction quality used in these villages, entire villages have been brought down. We landed on board that Mi-17 chopper in a village in Danhed, and we saw stretchers coming down from all corners of the mountain. People who'd been caught in the debris, people who'd been caught during the earthquake in their buildings, unable to get out. Old people, young children, women, the most affected. And as you know well, Gaurav, it is really difficult to be able to land a big Mi-17 helicopter where there isn't a regular helipad. Despite that, Indian Air Force pilots managed to land on a riverbed, managed to evacuate the maximum number of people. There were cries of desperation. These are people who need help. What's happening on the ground, Gaurav, is that the Indian Army, the Indian Air Force is working very closely with the Nepali Army. Operation Maitri is a joint operation, a truly joint exercise. Never have I seen such easy, seamless interoperability between two forces. They understand each other, they respect each other, they're working in tandem. There isn't any showmanship, any gamesmanship taking place as we often see in such rescue operations, and that's really helping provide succor. I spoke to General Sandhu, the officer in charge of Operation Maitri. He said the scale, the width and the breadth of the Indian rescue operation is 10 times that of the rescue operation being mounted by China and Pakistan. Just to give our viewers a sense of this being Maitri, not just in words but also on the ground here in Kathmandu, Gaurav.
And Rahul, one reason for this is because the brave Gurkhas, they operate so well together. We have about 38,000 Nepali Gurkha soldiers in the Indian Army, some of whom are being sent back. And that is where this is a bond that's thicker than blood.
Oh, absolutely. And that comes through because very often, even within the Indian armed forces, when different agencies have to work together, we see teething problems. We find it difficult for them to come together. Here they're coming together, they're holding long meetings, discussing exactly where rescue needs to be sent. They land in some of the bigger airstrips, find out where people are most impacted through the local village network. The younger boys who are very fit, able to come down to the district headquarters, tell the village officers, the district officers where help is required, and then the Army, Air Force officials get into the act, land in just the right places. These are places, Gaurav, some of which don't even exist on the map. When you're looking for them on a map which has its exact geometrics, you can't even find these villages. Despite that, these officials are being able to land. They've been helped today by the weather. It's slightly overcast now, but the day was relatively clear. Yesterday it was pouring, and as a consequence rescue operations were hit. Today it is relatively clearer. There are two operations being mounted. One, of course, is through these aerial sorties where people are landing in areas which is the place that I went to. I spoke to those villagers. They said it takes 12 hours to get to by road. This is when the roads are operational. Right now, of course, they aren't. That's how far affected those areas are, some of them from Kathmandu. There's also the NDRF, which is moving on the ground. They're moving with heavy earth-cutting equipment. They're moving to areas where there's a lot of debris, and they're trying to pull people out. They're trying to ensure that those who might still be alive somewhere in the debris can be pulled out to safety. So a big operation, if ever there was one, being mounted here to try and provide help to the people of Nepal. And what's constantly being emphasized in all my interactions with all the officers I've spoken to, we're only helping the Nepalese government, we're helping the Nepalese army. They are telling us what to do. We're just working in tandem with them. They're keeping the people of Nepal first, they're keeping the army of Nepal first, the government of Nepal first, and ensuring that this bond of Maitri, which goes back decades if not centuries, is reinforced. Nepal knows and feels that the people of India, the government of India, the armed forces of India are with them in this hour of need, Gaurav.
Rahul, is Nepal now gradually trying to come back to normal in the sense that they wanted electricity and Power Minister Piyush Goyal spoke of sending in power lines, engineers to restore power lines. Is some of that happening? Fresh food, fresh vegetables, medicines, is all of that coming in?
Gaurav, I'll ask my camera person, Vinod, just to pan across the screen, pan across the set. If you could just move aside, please. Those are the first shops I've seen open ever since I landed here in Kathmandu. The Kirana stores, the small restaurants, they're beginning to open. The marketplaces are still shut. Wi-Fi access was restored in our hotel just about half an hour, 40 minutes ago. So the threads are being put back into shape, and the people of Nepal have been very, very resilient. They aren't just lying back, allowing this nature's catastrophe to cripple their lives. They're very determined to get their city, to get their country back on track, and they're working towards that. Food supplies to some extent being restored, milk supplies being restored. There's water back in several areas. Obviously not where we've come from. Where we went in the far-flung areas of Nepal, there's absolutely nothing. There's just rivers and streams from the Himalayas that are flowing by. Those are being used by people for water. There's some old Kirana stores which have some Maggi, some local ramen noodles. There's some chips. Those are the kind of things that people are surviving in, apart from whatever rice and wheat they may have. But at least in Kathmandu, life slowly, very, very slowly, inching towards a semblance of normalcy.
Okay. Now, Rahul, relief material that is in Kathmandu, how soon before it can start being shipped out to the affected areas, and is the exact magnitude of the crisis, is that now known?
Well, 10 Air Force choppers is what General Sandhu told me were operational. There are more than a dozen teams of the NDRF, the National Disaster Relief Force, which is headed by the DG, who also is here in Kathmandu handling operations. This really is an operation where we put our senior-most officers on the ground. There are boots on the ground who've been mandated with the responsibility of ensuring that this rescue material, which is coming in from Delhi and from different parts of India, is shipped. It's not obviously a perfect exercise, because there's no communication. You land in some place, you find out that, okay, you brought water with you, or you brought food packets with you, but somebody's already delivered them water. So those niggles are there, but in an operation of this size, where there are different countries all operating together, there are bound to be those problems. And remember, the Nepali people are being very brave in the face of adversity, but they've really suffered a lot. Their country lies devastated. Despite that, officials we've been speaking to in the government, their own homes have been battered and devastated. They're working 24/7 to try and ensure that relief and succor reaches the people who need it most. It's not a perfect operation. No such rescue operation can be perfect. But the Indian government seems to have learned from all the operations it's done. The Prime Minister himself has first-hand experience of the aftermath of the Bhuj earthquake. He's bringing all of that into play. Constant meetings. They're moving with purpose. They've got the authority to take the decisions that they need to ensure that nothing gets stuck. There's no bureaucratic bottleneck. So the wheels of this rescue operation are moving.